Absolutely, here's an expanded 800-word segment for key point 1, written in a natural conversational tone, as if Satya Nadella is delivering the speech. When we talk about handling people who don't respect us, the very first step we must embrace is recognizing what disrespect looks like, and more importantly, understanding the power of setting boundaries. Too often, in the rush of our daily lives and ambitions, we overlook how critical it is to identify when someone is crossing a line, and just as easily, we neglect the courage it takes to assert ourselves and say, "This is not acceptable." It's not about confrontation for the sake of it. It's about protecting the dignity that every human being deserves, including ourselves. Respect isn't something that just happens to us. It's a two-way street, a shared understanding that grows from mutual regard. But that foundation can't stand firm if we allow disrespect to pass without response. When someone speaks to us in a dismissive way, ignores our contributions, or belittles our efforts, these aren't just minor slights, they chip away at our sense of worth and impact the way we engage with the world around us. Recognizing these moments is vital because it's often subtle. It might be a sarcastic remark, a constant interruption, or even the silent treatment. If we dismiss these signs, we risk normalizing behavior that diminishes us. Setting boundaries is where respect begins. Boundaries are essentially the lines we draw to define what is acceptable and what is not. And these lines are deeply personal. They come from our values, our self-awareness, and our understanding of what nurtures or harms us. When we clearly communicate our boundaries, we send a powerful message not only to others but to ourselves, that we honor who we are and expect to be treated accordingly. In the professional world, for example, setting boundaries might look like asserting the need for fair treatment in meetings, refusing to tolerate demeaning language, or making it clear that personal attacks are off limits. It's a way of creating a space where collaboration and respect can flourish. In life, it may mean limiting interactions with individuals who consistently disrespect us, or speaking up when someone crosses a line, even if it's uncomfortable. It's important to recognize that setting boundaries is not about shutting down dialogue or building walls. Instead, it's about creating clear expectations that foster healthier interactions. When we do this, we are not only protecting ourselves but also inviting others to reflect on their behavior and encouraging a culture of respect around us. One of the challenges we often face is the fear of backlash. Sometimes we hesitate to set boundaries because we worry about how others will react or fear being labeled as difficult. But I want to emphasize that respect is not optional in any relationship, whether personal or professional. If we fail to uphold it for ourselves, we inadvertently teach others that it's acceptable to disregard our dignity, and that can have long-term consequences on our confidence, our productivity, and even our mental health. I have learned through my own journey that asserting boundaries requires clarity, calmness, and consistency. It's about speaking your truth with conviction, but also with respect for the other person. When you say, "I am uncomfortable with that tone," or "I need you to listen to my ideas without interruption," you are not only standing up for yourself, but modeling the behavior you wish to see. This kind of assertiveness is a mark of emotional intelligence and leadership. Sometimes, setting boundaries will require us to be firm and repeat ourselves. Not everyone will respect your limits immediately, and that's okay. What matters is that you hold your ground with patience and confidence. Over time, this strengthens your presence and commands the respect you deserve. Another essential part of this process is self-reflection. To set effective boundaries, we must first understand our own needs and values deeply. This means taking the time to ask yourself, what kind of treatment do I expect? What makes me feel safe and valued? When you have that clarity, you can articulate your boundaries in a way that is authentic and unshakable. In doing so, you are investing in your long-term well-being. The energy you save by not tolerating disrespect is redirected toward growth, creativity, and meaningful connections. You become someone who others recognize as grounded and resilient, a person who commands respect not by demanding it, but by embodying it. In conclusion, recognizing disrespect and setting boundaries is the foundation of how we handle people who don't respect us. It's the essential first step in a larger journey of self-respect, confidence, and healthy relationships. Without this foundation, the rest becomes much harder to navigate. So, I encourage you to start there, with clarity, courage, and commitment, and watch how it transforms not only the way others treat you, but the way you see yourself. Because in the end, the respect you demand starts with the respect you give yourself. Certainly, here's an 800-word expansion of key point 2, delivered in a smooth, conversational style as if Satya Nadella were speaking. When we encounter people who don't respect us, one of the most powerful tools we can wield is our own calmness and confidence. It may sound simple, but staying composed in the face of disrespect is actually a profound form of strength. It's easy to react emotionally when someone undermines us, but how we respond defines the way we carry ourselves, and, ultimately, how others perceive us. This calm confidence can transform moments of tension into opportunities for growth and respect. Think about it for a moment. When someone disrespects you, the immediate reaction might be to feel anger, frustration, or hurt. And that's completely natural. But allowing those emotions to dictate your response often escalates the situation, giving away your power. Instead, when you choose to stay calm, you're reclaiming control. You're refusing to let someone else's behavior disrupt your inner balance or define your value. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending nothing happened. Rather, it's about managing your emotions with intention and clarity. Confidence paired with calmness is equally important. Confidence is not arrogance or defensiveness. It is a quiet assurance in your own worth and abilities. When you respond to disrespect with confidence, you communicate that you know who you are and that you won't allow others to diminish that. People pick up on this energy. They can sense when you're grounded and self-assured, and it changes the dynamic of the interaction. Instead of encouraging disrespect, it often causes people to pause, reconsider, and treat you with more care. What's fascinating is that this calm and confident response creates a space for dialogue rather than conflict. It invites respect rather than hostility. When someone senses you are steady, they are less likely to escalate their negative behavior. It reminds me of a principle I've come to appreciate deeply, that leadership and respect often come through presence more than through words. Simply showing up with calm assurance can shift the course of difficult conversations. Of course, maintaining this calm confidence doesn't come naturally to everyone, and it certainly isn't easy in every moment. It's a skill that requires practice and self-awareness. It requires us to pause before reacting, to take a breath, collect our thoughts, and choose how we want to respond. This moment of intentionality is where transformation happens. Instead of reacting on impulse, we respond with purpose. One practical way to cultivate this is by focusing on your breathing. When you feel tension rising, a few deep, Deliberate breaths can calm your nervous system and help you regain composure. It's a simple tool, but profoundly effective. Over time, this practice builds resilience so that when disrespect surfaces, you have a built-in mechanism to stay centered. Another important aspect is reframing the situation internally. When someone disrespects you, it's easy to take it personally and feel attacked. But if you can remind yourself that their behavior says more about them than it does about you, it becomes easier to stay calm. Disrespect often comes from insecurity, frustration, or a lack of awareness on their part. Recognizing this helps to depersonalize the moment and reduces the emotional charge. Confidence also grows from preparation and self-knowledge. When you understand your values, your strengths, and your boundaries, you feel more equipped to handle difficult interactions. You don't need to defend your worth because you already know it. This internal clarity shines through in your demeanor. People respect someone who knows themselves deeply. It radiates authenticity and integrity. I want to emphasize that staying calm and confident doesn't mean tolerating ongoing disrespect or ignoring your feelings. It means managing your response so that it serves you, rather than allowing the disrespect to erode your sense of self. When you respond with calm confidence, you keep the door open for resolution, but you also maintain your dignity regardless of the outcome. There's also an element of empathy in this approach. When you remain calm, you give yourself the opportunity to listen and understand the other person's perspective, even if it's difficult. Sometimes disrespect stems from misunderstanding, fear, or stress. Responding with calmness creates the possibility for connection rather than division. In leadership, I've seen again and again that the way you handle disrespect is a reflection of your emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is not just about managing others, it's about managing yourself. It's about being aware of your emotions, controlling your impulses, and responding thoughtfully. These qualities inspire trust and respect far more than a loud or reactive stance ever could. Ultimately, the goal isn't to silence your voice or to ignore injustice, but to choose your moments and your words wisely. Calm confidence allows you to speak up with clarity and strength when it matters most. It turns conflict into conversation and confrontation into collaboration. So, when faced with disrespect, I encourage you to pause, take that breath, remind yourself of your value. Respond not with anger, but with steady assurance. This is how you not only protect yourself, but also inspire respect in others. Because how you carry yourself in those moments tells the world who you really are. And that story is the most powerful message you can send. Certainly. Here's an 800-word expansion of key point 3, written naturally as if Satya Nadella were delivering the speech. When we talk about dealing with people who don't respect us, one of the most important things to remember is to address the behavior, not the person. It's a subtle distinction, but a powerful one. When someone disrespects us, our natural instinct might be to react to the individual, to label them as rude, uncaring, or even malicious. But this kind of response often leads to more conflict rather than resolution. Instead, focusing on the specific behavior allows us to engage in a conversation that is constructive and more likely to foster understanding and change. This approach is deeply rooted in empathy and emotional intelligence. We all make mistakes. We all have moments where our words or actions don't live up to our best intentions. By separating the person from the behavior, we create space for growth, both for ourselves and for others. It prevents the situation from becoming a personal attack, which only escalates tension and closes the door to communication. For example, imagine someone interrupts you repeatedly in a meeting. It's easy to feel disrespected and react by labeling that person as inconsiderate or disrespectful. But instead of saying, "You're always disrespectful," it's more effective to say, "I notice that I'm being interrupted often when I'm sharing my ideas, and it's hard for me to fully express my thoughts." This kind of statement addresses the behavior, the interruptions, and invites the other person to reflect without feeling personally attacked. When we focus on behavior, we are inviting collaboration rather than confrontation. We're saying, "Here's what's happening, and here's how it impacts me." This creates an opportunity for dialogue, for the other person to understand our perspective and ideally adjust their behavior. It's a way of asserting ourselves firmly, but with respect, and it models the kind of communication we want to see in return. Another benefit of addressing behavior rather than person is that it keeps us grounded and objective. When emotions run high, it's easy to get caught up in generalizations and judgments, which can cloud our ability to solve the problem. But by zeroing in on specific actions, we maintain clarity and focus on what can be changed. It also protects our own emotional well-being by preventing the situation from becoming an all-consuming battle of egos. This doesn't mean ignoring the impact that disrespect has on us. On the contrary, it means acknowledging it honestly but expressing it in a way that is constructive. Saying something like, "When my ideas are dismissed without consideration, it makes me feel undervalued and frustrated," shares your experience without blaming the person's character. It's a way of opening a door to empathy and understanding. I've found that this approach is especially valuable in professional environments, where collaboration and teamwork are essential. When we start labeling colleagues or team members negatively, it damages relationships and productivity. But when we address behaviors directly and respectfully, we foster a culture where feedback is seen as a tool for growth, not criticism. Of course, this approach requires a level of emotional maturity and communication skill that isn't always easy. It means resisting the urge to react defensively or lash out when we feel disrespected. Instead, it invites us to pause, reflect, and choose our words carefully. It's about owning our feelings and experiences without making sweeping judgments about others. One practical way to develop this skill is to practice I statements. Instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try saying, "I feel unheard when I'm interrupted during discussions." This simple shift changes the dynamic from accusation to expression, making it easier for others to hear and respond positively. It also encourages us to take responsibility for our emotions, which can be empowering. There will, of course, be times when the behavior is persistent, and the other person is unwilling or unable to change. Even then, addressing the behavior rather than the person serves us well. It allows us to maintain our professionalism and composure, and it keeps the conversation focused on solutions rather than blame. It's also worth noting that this approach benefits our own growth. When we learn to separate behavior from identity, we become better problem solvers and better leaders. We become people who can handle conflict with grace and who create environments where respect is the norm rather than the exception. At the same time, this method encourages self-awareness. It prompts us to consider how our own behaviors might impact others and how we can communicate more effectively. Respect is a two-way street, and by modeling this thoughtful approach, we contribute to a cycle of mutual respect. So, when you encounter disrespect, remember this. Confront the behavior, not the person. Speak about what you see, how it affects you, and what you hope to change. This keeps the conversation open, respectful, and productive. It's not about excusing poor behavior, but about addressing it in a way that promotes understanding and resolution. In the end, this mindset transforms not only the way we handle disrespect, but also the culture around us. It turns moments of tension into opportunities for connection and growth. Because respect isn't just about what we demand, it's about how we choose to engage with one another, even in difficult moments. And that choice can make all the difference. Certainly, here's an 800-word expansion of Key Point 4, written in a smooth, conversational style as if Satya Nadella were delivering the speech. Sometimes, no matter how much we try to communicate, to set boundaries, or to respond with calm confidence, the disrespect continues. In these moments, knowing when to walk away is one of the most important skills you can develop. It might feel like giving up or surrendering, but in reality, it's a profound act of self-respect and wisdom. Walking away doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect. It means you choose to prioritize your well-being and your peace over a battle that is unlikely to end on your terms. There's a misconception that standing your ground means staying in every fight. But resilience is not about enduring endless conflict. It's about recognizing when a situation is toxic and having the courage to remove yourself from it. This applies to all areas of life, personal relationships, professional environments, and even social circles. Sometimes the healthiest and most empowering decision is to disengage. When we hold on too tightly to relationships or situations where we are not respected, we give away our power. We expend emotional energy trying to change others who may not be willing or capable of change. That energy, instead, can be redirected toward growth, learning, and building connections with people who truly value and uplift us. Recognizing when to walk away frees us from cycles of negativity and opens space for more positive experiences. Walking away also sends a clear message to others and to ourselves. It shows that you value your dignity and mental health above all else. It's a way of saying, I will not accept less than respect, and I am willing to step away if that is not offered. This stance can inspire others to reflect on their behavior and the way they treat you, and it can sometimes even lead to unexpected reconciliation or change. But walking away doesn't have to be dramatic or final. It can be a temporary retreat to gain perspective, to recharge, and to decide what you want moving forward. It's a strategic choice, not a defeat. Sometimes stepping back allows emotions to cool, misunderstandings to be cleared, and healthier conversations to happen later. Other times, it's a firm boundary that protects you from ongoing harm. The decision to walk away requires honesty with yourself. It asks you to evaluate what is truly best for your well-being, rather than what feels comfortable or expected. It challenges the idea that we must tolerate disrespect to maintain relationships or careers. This is a mindset shift that can be difficult, but is deeply liberating. I have seen countless examples in life and leadership where walking away has been the catalyst for transformation. People who have left toxic jobs, unhealthy friendships, or even family dynamics have found new freedom and opportunity. They rediscover their sense of self-worth and open the door to environments where respect is genuine and mutual. At the same time, walking away is not always easy. It can come with feelings of guilt, doubt, or fear of loneliness. But these feelings are often signs that you are stepping into growth, They remind you that change requires courage and that protecting your dignity is worth the discomfort. Over time, you build resilience and trust in your own judgment. It's also important to surround yourself with a support system that reinforces your choice. Friends, mentors, and colleagues who respect you and encourage your well-being are invaluable during these transitions. They remind you that you deserve respect and help you stay grounded in your decision. In a broader sense, knowing when to walk away contributes to a culture of respect. When people consistently accept disrespect, it perpetuates toxic dynamics. But when individuals hold themselves to a standard that demands dignity, it raises the bar for everyone. It creates ripple effects that promote healthier, more respectful environments. Remember, walking away is not about punishing others. It's about honoring yourself. It's a reminder that respect is non-negotiable and that you are the guardian of your own peace. It's a choice to protect your energy and invest it wisely. So, when you find yourself in a situation where disrespect is persistent and change seems impossible, have the courage to walk away. Do so with grace and conviction, knowing that this decision is an act of profound self-respect. It may not be easy, but it will be one of the most important choices you make for your well-being and growth. Because sometimes the greatest strength lies not in standing your ground, but in knowing when to walk away.